Today I will be showing you how to install, set up, configure, and use the VVS or Virtual Vehicle Spawner. We're currently on Langdon and we're going to go to the airfield, and what we're going to do is build us a little scenario that will allow us to spawn some vehicles. So we're going to place down unarmed rifleman. This will be our player. We're going to go to props and then we're going to type in heli. We need a helipad that we're going to use, and this will be the spot where the vehicles will spawn at. So we're going to just copy this and place one over here, place one here, and then we're going to place one over here. We're going to place one over here. We need about 7 of these, that's why I'm making so many. And so right now we have 4, 5, 6. The 7th one is going to be something else. So we're going to go back to props and then we're going to type in notice. That'll bring up a notice board, and then we're going to put a notice board right about here. Face it this way. We're going to copy it. Give this guy a notice board. Give this guy a notice board. And then we're going to put a notice board over here. And we're going to go over to the here. Place a notice board about here. And while we're over here, we're going to place another rifleman. And then we're going to edit him and set him to playable. You'll see when we get to it. So back to the airfield. Now that we have our scenario, we're going to save this. We're going to click the save icon. We're going to go down to Langdon, and then we're going to type in VVS _ virtual spawner. And that will save our scenario. Next we're going to go to scenario at the top left, and then we're going to go down to where it says open scenario folder. So now we're in our scenario folder that we created. What we need to do is put the VVS script into this folder. So I have a copy of the script, and here's the VVS script. So what I'll do is I'll have this script linked in the description of the video. When you download the script, you're going to do exactly as I did here by putting the VVS folder into your scenario folder. Once you have the script in your scenario folder, you're just going to open up the script folder itself, and then you're going to go to this readme. Open up the readme. Just to let you know, I created this readme and set up an outline so you guys have something to follow. This is the VVS or Virtual Vehicle Spawner. The author of this script is Brian Tonic Boardwine, and let's start with the installation process. So installation part 1, VVS folder. So basically move the VVS folder into your scenario folder, which will be located here. And then let's go to part 2, installation part 2, Description.ext. So with this, what you're going to do is you're going to put the following code into a Description.ext. Is you're going to highlight this code and you're going to copy it. So you could either right click, copy it, or you can press Control-C. You're going to create a Description.ext using either a Notepad++ document or a Notepad document. Either one will work. So once you have your document open, you're just going to make sure that the cursor is blinking, and then press Control-V, and it will paste the code into the document. Just press save, and then you're going to go down to save as type, and you're going to set this to all types, or if you are using Notepad, it should say all files. Once you have that, just go to the file name, which is here, and you're going to type in the following: Description.ext. Now be sure that this is spelled correctly or the script will not load. Once you have that, don't hit save yet. Just go to the top address bar, locate your scenario folder. In my case, I'm going to go to the desktop and then to missions folder. And then this will bring up a list of all the folders for the scenarios that I have, and we're going to go down to Malden, and then we're going to go down to our scenario, which is this one here. You're going to open that up, and you should see VVS and the mission.sqm. Just click on save, and that will save the script that you just created into your scenario folder. And then let's take a look at our scenario folder, and now you should have a VBS script folder and a Description.ext script inside your scenario folder. Alright, let's go back to the README. Here are the Addaction codes. I set this up for you guys, so this will make it pretty easy for you to add these codes into your scenario. Add the following Addaction codes to an object that you will be using to access the VBS menu. These codes are separated based on categories. Each category defines what's going to be spawned using that particular code. So all vehicles will basically spawn all vehicles. So this is the code for the Addaction that you'll put into a sign or an object or a flagpole or wherever you want to put it. Then we have one for cars, we have one for armored, air, boats, support, and autonomous. Let's take a quick look at this code. This is an Addaction. This is basically a word that has no function other than to tell you what's on the sign. So when I put this in a sign, it will just say all. Now you can change this to whatever you want. You could say all vehicles or whatever, it doesn't matter. Everything else you don't want to change. Everything else has to be as it is, so don't mess with it. This is the only thing you can change. We're going to take each one of these codes and copy them and then go back into the game and then put them into the corresponding sign. So I'm going to copy this code and then we're going to go back in game. The all vehicles I'm going to put into this sign here. Open up your sign or object or flagpole, whatever you're using, and go to the INIT box. Make sure the cursor is blinking, and then press Control V. That will paste the code, and then just hit OK, and that adds the code to the sign, and that's all you have to do for that part. Next, we'll do the code for the cars, and we're going to put the code for the cars in this sign. Next is the code for the armored. We'll put the code for the armored in this sign. Next is the code for the air. Code for the air we'll put into this sign. Do the code for the boats, and that we have set up over here to this sign. Next we'll do the code for support, and the support we'll put into this sign. And lastly, let's do the code for the autonomous into this sign. That's it for that. Save your scenario, and then let's go back to the README. We're down to map markers. These are the markers you'll be putting on the map that will create the spawn point for a vehicle to spawn. The third word in the Addaction arrays above is the marker name. What I mean here by the third word in the Addaction arrays is going to be from this bracket on. So you're going to count 1, 2, and 3. So this here will be the marker name that you're going to use. So for support, it's going to be this. For the boats, it's going to be this. For the air, it's going to be this. All you need is just the name, not the quotes. For the tanks, it's going to be this. For the cars, it's going to be this. And for the all vehicles, it's going to be that. We're going to start with the ship. The boats marker. I'm going to go to markers. And I'm going to use an arrow filled marker. You could use whatever you want, but I use an arrow filled one. I'm just going to face it this way. And I'm going to make this blue, and we're just going to adjust it a little bit, and that's good for there. Just keep this simple. Is you're going to go to your sign or whatever you're using, and you're just going to copy this right here for the ship. Press Control C, and then you're going to go back to the marker, and then you're going to go to variable name for the marker. You're going to just paste that in there, And if you want, you could put a text, but the text doesn't affect anything. It just shows what's going to be there. So let's just put boats. So now you have a marker that says boats. Like I said, you don't need to have that. We're just going to copy this marker because we're going to use the same marker. We're going to place the markers on each one of these helipads. Now, something to keep in mind, the direction that the arrow is facing is the direction that the vehicle that you spawn will be facing. Alright, since we're right here, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the sign for the air and copy that marker. And you're just going to replace this. We'll just name this air. Go to the sign. We're going to name this drones. Then we're going to go over here, and that's it. So now that we have that, we're going to save our scenario, and let's check it out. And as we put in the sign here, this one is cars. So this is going to list every car for every faction in the game. So you can see that here's the vehicle name, and then the faction side for that particular vehicle. So you have West, East, Civilian, and Guerrilla. There is a setting in the configuration, which I'll show you after this, to where you can have it only vehicles that show for the player's side. So let's spawn a hunter. And here we go. We have a hunter. So over here is the armored. Same thing. And let's spawn a panther to the support, and this is services, and let's go to all, and here put a Hemet. Alright, let's go to the autonomous, and here we could spawn different types of drones. I want to give you guys an example. If you spawn a vehicle, a drone, whatever, and you wanted something else, the darter. So basically the script will delete the previous vehicle and spawn the new one. Let's go to the air. So it's giving me a helicopter's question mark, so it's best to just use one word. Either way it'll work. So you have here all your helicopters and planes and one sign. And there you go. Team switch to the dock, and let's bring up the boats list. And there you go. Alright, back in the scenario folder, let's open up the VBS folder script itself, and let's go to Configuration.sqf. Open that with Notepad or Notepad++. And what we're going to do here is I'm going to go over some code with you and give you an idea of how you could further configure the script. So let's start with this code here on line 4. VBS side only equals false. So at the moment, this is a note, a comment for what this code means. So only display vehicles for the player's side. If set to true, then only vehicles for the player's faction will show in the menu. That means all the vehicles for every faction is going to show up in the list. Now if we set this to true, right now my character is on the Blue Force side, so if I go back in game with this setting, all the vehicles in the menu will be for only blue for. That's all I will see. This is where you can configure what's going to show up in the list. All these codes are set up for RHS. So if you wanted to and you don't play with RHS, or you don't want RHS and you like cup instead, then you could, what you do is you just put all the cup class names in here. Now what I'm going to do is, and it's the same for each, so you have class names for cars, class names for air, so that's helicopters and planes. Ships will be basically boats and ships. Armored is tanks and armored types, autonomous, and support. I have RHS loaded up. I'm going to show you what it looks like with RHS with those class names. You bring up the menu, and for the other class names you just scroll the menu, and they're going to show after all the vanilla, and you'll see what it says there, RHS class names. So this one is cars. Just spawn one. This will be armored. So this you'll have statics and other stuff. This only has so many. Whoa. Then you have autonomous. Go down to where it says RHS for this. They have that under the Shilka. And then under here, you got all the helicopters, and planes. Alright guys, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will link the script in the description of the video so you can download it and utilize it in your own scenarios. For more codes and scripts, take a look at this playlist.